Hey guys, sorry because Dean already busy. I didn't give you guys the online lecture, so I need to record one for you today. So this is just the summary for our lecture, for our online lecture. So I will upload this one together with another one, probably 2 or 3 days from now. So our topic today is application of enzymes in the food industry. So as you can see here, how do I do this? Okay. So our learning outcome for this one is, for the first one, is to describe the product. For example, how cheese is produced using what enzymes. Second is to determine which commercial food are likely to be produced. For example, how invertase can be used to improve the baking products. And the third one is actually the highest learning outcomes, which is ability to solve the problem. For example, if I give you one type of enzyme, how you're going to use the enzyme to improve the products or the food, or producing a new food product. Okay, so enzyme in industry actually being used quite widely. For example, you can see here is the detergent. In detergent, they will put many kind of enzyme, for example, protease, amylase, and also lipase to dissolve the carbohydrate, fat, and also protein on our clothes. And also enzyme is also being used in baking, because when we do baking we use a lot of carbohydrate, for example sugar. So by using certain enzymes that can convert the carbohydrate or sometimes protein, we can improve the texture and also the taste and the outlook of the baking products. Okay, for example, we use amylase to produce dextrin that can be used to make what we call it, glazing, the shining component of the cake. Another application you can also see here is the use of enzyme in contact lenses. Okay, because in our eyes we use contact lens, and our eyes produce a lot of tears that contains lots of proteins, and that proteins can be degraded by the enzymes from the industrial process. Okay, so that we can keep the contact lenses for longer times. Okay, this is the advantages of using the enzyme. For example, enzyme is safer than the chemical processes. Also, sometimes only enzymes that can produce the desired product for our food application. For example, like I said before, amylase can be used to produce dextrin to make the cake look better. Also, label friendly means that if we sell it in the supermarket, consumer probably prefer biological enzymes compared to the chemical ones. And also for better conservation, because enzymes is better for the environment, they are easily degraded compared to the chemical counterparts. Okay, as you can see here, the enzyme is very cheap. I think this is actually RM 15 to 45 per tons, not per kilograms. Okay, so there are several modes of food enzyme application. For example, you can use the endogenous enzymes that is already present in the food product itself. For example, the tea and coffee, they utilize PPO, polyphenol oxidase, to give them the flavor and also the coloring, which is the brown color. Sometimes you can also use exogenous enzyme, which is the enzyme that we add into the product to get the product that we desire. For example, we add rennet to the milk to get the cheese. Okay, as you can see from the figure here, you can take, for example, fruits. We can transform the fruits into the juice. Okay, for example, we use pectinase to get a clear juice to peel the skin, and then afterwards you can go for another stage, which is addition or modification to produce the functional food. Means that initially the juice, they don't have these properties, but we add something that is beneficial for the health. For example, we can add fiber, or we can add probiotics to the fruit juice and get a better juice in terms of health benefits. Okay, so as you can see here, the first column of the figure is for the food and beverages processing, and the second one is for the functional foods, which is the extra steps that can be taken to increase the value of the foods using the enzyme. Okay, there are two categories of food enzymes, as you can see in this figure. The first one is for additive and health aid. So means that we add this enzyme into the food, usually to increase the health benefit of the food. For example, we add pepin. Pepin, I think we can get it from the papaya to improve the digestion. Another category is essential for the processing. For example, if you can see from the list of enzymes here, I just take one example, which is transglutaminase is the enzyme that is used to bind the protein. So it is essential in the production of food products such as nugget and also the fish ball. Okay? So there are many industrial food enzymes. As you can see in this figure, for example, we got proteases for the protein, carbohydrates for the carbohydrate, lipases for the fat, oxidoreductase, which is the redox enzyme. We can use in certain processes such as we are using glucose oxidase to oxidize the glucose. So we remove the glucose and prevents the browning, or we can use this enzyme, which is sulfurase oxidase. We can use this enzyme to remove the sulfur from the food, so we improve the aroma and the taste of the food. Another type is naringinase. This enzyme reacts on one substrate called naringin, which is very bitter in taste. So we improve the taste of the product if you use this enzyme. Ribonucleases is the enzyme that involved in the degradation of RNA. I'm not very clear yet how ribonucleases can be used, but it is said that this enzyme can be used to make the single cell protein, which is the protein that we can eat from the microorganism. Okay, this is the example of the industrial enzymes. You can read it by yourself. I probably just pick one, which is the most famous one, the rennet, or I think another name for rennet is chymosin, that is used to coagulate the milk and produce the cheese. Okay, you can also see there are several other enzymes for example, from the fruits, which is papain, like I said earlier, an enzyme used from papaya to improve your digestion, and also sometimes we use for meat tenderization, means that we want to make the meat more tender. I use this enzyme. I use pepin before on one of my meat, but the taste is weird, so I don't really like it. Okay. So this figure shows you how you can apply the enzymes. For example, from raw material, you can add the enzyme and then you can get the modified food. For example, you can use the milk, you add the rennet, and you get the modified milk in form of cheese. Okay, so this is the examples of the food industries that use the enzyme. I think the term green means that instead of using the chemical, we use the enzyme, which is a better alternative for the environment and also probably for the health. Okay, so the example, as you can see here, is whey syrup contain hydrolyzed lactose. Enzymes are used to reduce waste. Okay, so when you produce cheese, you will get the cheese and also the byproduct of the cheese production, which is the whey. Okay, so instead of just throwing out, just waste the whey, you can use the enzyme to treat the whey and get other products that is beneficial for your industry. And also you can use lactose. You can reduce the lactose in milk by adding lactase. Okay, so this lactose will be converted to glucose and galactose. This is important for the people who is allergic to the milk. No, sorry, allergic to the lactose intolerance. So people who are allergic to the lactose can also drink milk. Okay, important enzyme in dairy industry. As you know, the most important one is the probably rennet in the production of cheese. I probably put an extra YouTube video later in the Putra Plus, so you can watch on how cheese can be made. Okay. Also, as I told you earlier, lactase is also important to reduce the lactose, and sulfuryl oxidase is important to remove the unpleasant taste and aroma, especially after the treatment of milk after pasteurization. Heat treatment. Heat treatment can produce a sulfur component and it can make the milk taste weird. Okay, so you can refer to this figure and read it by yourself. The summary is milk, we add chymosin or rennet, and then we can get the cheese curd and hard cheese. And also we produce byproduct, which is whey, and we can treat whey with other processes to get the byproducts that is beneficial for our industry. Okay, for fruit and vegetable, this one you can read it yourself, how important the fruit and vegetable in the industry. Okay, enzymes are used in many important processes of fruit and vegetable. For example, fruit and vegetable liquefaction means that we want to make them into liquid form. Okay, and other processes as well, you can read it by yourself. Okay, the most important one is pectinases, which can dissolve the pectin, the structure in the fruit that make the fruit hard. Okay, cellulase can digest the cellulose and make the fruit softer. Amylase is to convert the sugar into something else. For example, sugar to another form of sugar, or starch to simple sugar. Xylases is about the same as amylase. Naringinase, as I told you earlier, is to convert the naringin to something else. Okay, so give a better flavor. Glucose oxidase, as I told you earlier as well, we can use this enzyme to convert to oxidize glucose to something else. Okay, for example, we can use this to convert the glucose in the egg whites and into something else and prevent the browning of egg whites. Okay, and others. Okay, so this one I think it is meant for you to fill in the blanks. Okay, so you read it yourself and put what is the enzyme that is appropriate, or what is a process that is appropriate for this type of enzyme. Okay, you can read it yourself. Okay, this is the example. You take the fruits, you mash them into liquid. Okay, during this process you can add certain type of enzyme to assist you. Okay, and then if you have no treatment of enzyme, you will produce this kind of fruit juice. But if you use certain kind of enzyme, you will produce a better kind of fruit juice. Okay, as you can see here, usually the enzyme that they use here is cellulase and pectinase. Okay, because pectinase can also clarify the juice, make the juice look better. Okay, so this is the pectinase. It can hydrolyze pectin and expose the protein molecules, and also attractive forces between partially degraded particles cause them to agglomerate and finally sediment. So you can separate between the juice and also the sediment. Okay, guys, because this is a trial version, the free one, I almost finished my quota for 50 minutes. If I probably add another video afterwards. Okay, continuing from this lecture. Okay, so we finish this one is, for example, we can also use pectinase to peel the fruits because it can reduce or digest